Leader of the Scottish Nationalists, Stephen Flynn.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Is the Prime Minister worried that he is projected to be the first Conservative Party leader to lose a general election to a fellow Thatcherite?
We really must hear the Prime Minister, and we've got a lot of questions to get through. It's not the Prime Minister's opponents who are giving him trouble. Prime Minister.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I say to the honourable gentleman, Margaret Thatcher's view was cut inflation, then cut taxes, and then win an election, and that's very much my plan.
Of course, Madam Deputy Speaker, it's not just in relation to Margaret Thatcher where the Tory and Labour leader appear to agree. The same is true of the government's latest migration policies. Now, for those of us on these benches, we aren't afraid to say that we believe migration is a good thing. It enriches our communities, it enriches our economy, it enriches our universities, our schools, our health service and, of course, our care sector. So in that regard, can I ask the Prime Minister, why does he think it is acceptable to ask people to come to these shores to care for our family members, whilst we show complete disregard for theirs? What has become of this place?
Well, Madam Speaker, it's completely wrong. No, as we've already said, we have a proud track record of welcoming those who are most vulnerable around the world. Over 500,000 over the past few years from Syria, Afghanistan, Ukraine, Hong Kong and elsewhere, and that's what this country will always do. But at the same time, when it comes to economic migration and other forms, it's absolutely right that we take strong action to curb the levels that we have seen, because they are simply far too high and place unsustainable pressure on our public services. And, Madam Speaker, I make no apology for saying that, or indeed saying that it is important that those who come here contribute to our public services.
There's an interesting question here, Tim. This question about spouses and how much they earn is bubbling up. It feels to me like it has the potential to become a huge row, or to not go anywhere. I mean, it was sort of at the stage of the evolution of a row where either could be true.
Well, it will depend a little bit what the Labour Party decide to do about it, because Stephen Flynn, you know, in classic SNP fashion, trying to say they're both as bad as each other, vote for us, don't vote Labour or Tory, because they know for the first time in a long time that they're kind of under pressure from both parties north of the border at the next general election. And then, you know, trying to paint Labour as the same on migration. I think people would say instinctively Labour aren't the same. But, you know, how much can Starmer differentiate himself from the Tories on this and keep making the arguments he's been making? It's the sort of thing that can blow up, and you can see a Labour backbench rebellion on it potentially brewing. But you know, if Starmer doesn't sort of take a defiantly different line, then, you know, maybe it doesn't erupt.
But just a reminder, Lara, of Stephen Flynn's ability to use a single question to skewer both of his political opponents.
Yeah, he likes it. And also, he often has the merits of brevity, I think. He's quite good at doing the kind of shorter questions which put people on the spot. So he'll be quite happy with those, I think. But it is interesting on the Labour position. Yvette Cooper, the Shadow Home Secretary, obviously on the radio yesterday, and when she was asked repeatedly about these different proposals, she merely often said, you know, that the Migration Advisory Committee needed to look at all of these in detail. So I think we are notably waiting for Labour to outline exactly what they think on these different points. And at that point, I think it'll be interesting to see which MPs become upset about their response if they do choose to back them.
And then Rishi Sunak can decide whether or not Labour has a plan or doesn't have a plan. Then who has the bigger one? Who has the bigger plan?